got coming up next tomorrow?
We have Michael Wolsey. Welcome to the stage.
Give him a big round of applause.
Before you go, don't leave me hanging on like a yo-yo. Wake me up before you go. I don't want to miss
Michael, how are you?
Wake me up before you go.
There you go, sir.
Thank you very much.
Now, they call you the homeless investor.
They do, because
Why are you a homeless investor?
I live on the street.
Okay, you must be one of the wealthiest guys that lives on the street.
Well, yes. A couple of years ago, I had some long service leave coming to me,
Yep.
and I had a little Winnebago, so I decided to go up north to see more of Australia. And when I came back after a couple of months, I thought, I really like this. I don't really need a big house, which I had. So I thought I'll put all the stuff in storage and rent it out. And I've just continued living in the Winnebago. And if I don't have a project, I just free camp. So I am literally homeless.
All right. So tell me, how did we meet?
You're a con woman.
Right.
You're a liar.
Right.
You're a cheat.
Right.
You're a charlatan.
Right.
I received an email back in... We've been together now 9 years.
Wow. We've been together that long, haven't we?
Yes. From a gentleman called Neil Genman.
Right. He
And
doesn't like me very much.
He's a bit of a... What would you say? He goes after the bad real estate agents, something like that? Yeah,
Bit
anyway.
of an egomaniac, in my opinion, but anyway.
Anyway, I received an email from him, and attached was a video saying, beware of this woman. She is a liar, a cheat, and all the rest. So I opened up this video, and there's Dipner interviewing, I think it was Deirdre, the flight attendant.
Can't remember now.
Can't remember now? See, liars can't remember, can they? Anyway, I'm looking at this video.
I've interviewed a lot of people.
I'm looking at this video, and the power of suggestion comes in, and I think, my goodness, he was right. Look at her. Just, oh, yes. Anyway, and this is the spooky part. About a week later, and I still don't know why, I received an invitation from John Gian, and I wasn't part of his mailing group, to go to this seminar called The Millionaire Phenomena. Exactly. And on the lovely card was a photo of you. So I thought, oh, I'm going to have to go and see this vixen.
The vixen.
Yes.
Right.
Now, I was living in Melbourne at the time, and this was at Rod Laver Arena. So I went there, would have been a crowd this big, and I usually try and sit in the aisle seat so I
you
can
can
make
get
it
out.
Exactly. So I'm sitting at the aisle seat just looking around, and all of a sudden my right shoulder gets jolted because this woman barging down the aisle to the... I almost got up and told her what for, but I thought, no, I'll be polite. So she's on there, and I thought, oh, look at this. Oh, it's even worse than I thought. Anyway, you brazenly got on stage, and you flicked your hair and your eyelashes and all the things you do. And am I going too far? No. Anyway, by the time we had our first tea break,
Yeah.
I thought, I'm going to sign up. And I did.
So I wasn't the vixen you thought I was. Or maybe I am still.
Well, maybe you are. I don't know. And I believe I'm the only person to ever make you cry. I don't know if you can remember that. I don't know if you remember.
call.
It was the first boot camp I went to in Melbourne, and I told this story to you, so I'm not sure if you remember it. And I remember you stood up, and you had your arms crossed in a very power stance. Yes. All right. And I told this story, and tears did flow. Not from me. And you actually did autograph a book, which I cherish to this day.
Thank you very
So,
much.
no, thank you. Thank you. So, yes.
So that's how you got to be part of the I Love Real Estate community, and now you're on stage with me.
I know.
What are they going to say about you?
Oh, they've said enough, believe me. They've said enough, believe me.
All right, so your position pre-me, pre-us, was what?
Look, I've been investing in real estate for probably 30 years.
Yep.
I started when I was about 3.
Right.
Okay. And
Bit like me.
yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. And look, I wasn't doing too badly. Some properties I bought were cash flow positive before I knew what cash flow positive was.
I'm sure I invented that word. But
I think you did.
Yeah.
I even did a joint venture, a vendor financing before I knew what it was.
Whoa,
right? So I
very
thought,
good.
What can Dipner teach me? Nothing. But anyway, I went there. But also, I bought properties because, I like the colour of that wall. Those were the properties that I sold at a loss.
Yes.
Anyway, about the turn of a century, I was going through a rough patch, and I found that I had about 6 properties, but I found when money got tight, I just sold a property.
Yeah.
And then my money worries went away for a short time. And then I thought to myself, I was down to my PPR, and I had 2 little commercial investments in Melbourne, and I thought, no, this has got to stop. I've got to do something. Right? I do like property, but I do need more guidance. And that's when I saw you on the stage, I thought, no, this is the way to go.
And they're all in your own name, of course.
Of course, yes.
Cross-securitized.
Oh, yes,
All that good
yes.
stuff.
Yes, just like you told me to.
No. All right, so what action did you take?
Okay, let's have a look.
You sold off the PPR?
Yep. I did a sea change.
Yep.
Moved up to Queensland.
Oh,
Yes, to a little place called Coral Cove.
very nice.
Do you know where that is?
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay, that's near Bundaberg. So I moved up there, sold off my PPR in Melbourne, again, to get rid of some debt. And then I sat on that lovely piece of furniture you always refer to.
Comfy couch.
Did that for about 3 years. And then I thought, no, I better get off and do something because I'm about to, almost reach 35. I thought I better do something. Excuse me. Anyway, I got onto the forum and I did a joint venture with a student.
Right.
Okay. He was to find me the property, project manage it, right? And that was fine. And he found me a house in a place called Tumbiumbi. Exactly.
Tumbiumbi. Is this the Tumbiumbi?
That's the Tumbiumbi one.
Right.
Okay. What it was a commission house that had been burnt out. The tenants didn't like the landlord, so they set
So
fire
you like
to it.
my fire, flood and termites?
I love termites. I love termite damage.
They're
I
my
love it.
3 topics.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I went down there to have a look at him, and I said, oh my God, it just looked, from inside it was all burnt out. And he took me aside and he says, don't worry, it's mainly superficial as it can be. Anyway, cut a long story short, I won the auction, went back home to Bundaberg. He commenced the renovations. And I get all these emails from him. Please pay this, please pay that, please pay that. And I got a little bit worried, even though I had checked him out beforehand and he was registered and all the rest of it. And I'm expecting to go down there after the renovations and find nothing done. But anyway, I went down there after, did a brilliant job.
That was your cynical attitude coming through.
It
again.
was. But no, he did wonderfully well.
Do we need to get in there and work on that a little bit?
What, to become a liar and a cheat?
The cynical attitude.
I've been told that's part of my charm.
Oh, is it
Isn't
right?
it? No? Oh, okay. So I renovated that. It was going to be my PPR, but with work it didn't work out, so I had to move back to Bundaberg. But technically it was my PPR,
right.
which was a blessing when I sold it. I then met up with an estate agent through work, and this was just after the 2013 floods. And she was telling me she was doing an auction on the weekend. So I went and had a look at the property, did my due diligence, did a bit of negotiation with the banks because it was hard to buy flooded property just after the floods.
Totally. Yep.
Anyway, I got that one through and rented that one out. Okay.
So you did a little reno on it there.
And what was your learning in terms of, so for a lot of people when they hear flood, it's like, oh my God, yeah, that's great. You can get in, you can do this renovation, but how do you refinance it at the end, or how do you sell it at the back end if it's flood affected? So you have a very good process.
Flood isn't flood. I'm taking Bundaberg because I know that. There are 2 sides of Bundaberg, north and south, as you probably know. Your north you keep away from because any flood at all, the north gets flooded. The south is different. The flood we had in 2013 was almost a 1 in a 1,000 year flood.
Yep.
Okay. I bought a property on top of a hill and that still was a metre underwater. Very unlikely to happen. I also look at what the bank's like. Right, the banks don't like north, they like south. Okay, the LVRs straight after the floods were probably the 50 to 70%. Within 6 months, they went back up to the 80, 90%. And the same with the insurance. Initially, the insurance premiums are very high, but they come down as well, like with most natural disasters. So I was pretty confident with that.
So the moral of that is to be an area expert. So when you're looking at flood, you know, some areas are absolutely flood in any situation.
Well,
so
for
knowing
instance, Rocky floods, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I don't know anything about Rockhampton. Because it's only 3 hours up, but it doesn't interest me. But you have to know your area and which areas. And flood is, as I said, even termites. If people say it's been termite damage, I love it because you can just negotiate the price right down. And asbestos, negotiate it right down. But when you really
and none
look
of those
at it,
things are particularly scary.
they're not. Not when you no. So yeah, I've learnt that.
So we made some money on this one. We revalued at 200. The total cost was 133, and you rented out 275, which makes it nicely positive cash flow.
Certainly does. Yes.
Very nice.
Okay.
So what did you do from then? Meanwhile, you're still living in your Winnebago.
No. This I was still living in Coral Cove at this stage.
Okay. Right.
Okay. This is about 4 years ago.
We haven't made the Winnebago.
We haven't made the Winnebago
Right.
thing yet. I couldn't
So you
sleep.
did it again?
I couldn't sleep one night.
Right.
So I got up. What do you do when you can't sleep?
Get
You
on the computer, try and find a property.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
And I'm a great believer, and so are you, that when the time is right, the opportunities come. Okay. Anyway, I'm going on the Winnebago. I'm going on the computer, and this pops up: 5 one-bedroom units in regional Victoria, mortgagee auction. I think it was 154. Okay. So this looks interesting. Did my back of the envelope calculations. Rang up the agent first thing in the morning. He didn't want to talk to me. He said, I've been inundated with phone calls. And I said, okay. And I knew it was a very good price. And I said, listen, I'll offer you purchase price unconditional. I had no finance, I had nothing, right? I said, unconditional. And I thought, he goes, okay. He rings back about a day later and he says, the Commonwealth Bank have accepted your bid. It's the lowest, but they've accepted yours because you're going unconditional. I said, fine. I said, send me up the contracts, okay? Now, by the time they sent me up the contracts, and look, I can never be bothered going to the post office. So by the time I picked it up, and I sat at my coffee table, and all the rest, and they ring me up all the time saying, where are the contracts? Oh, they haven't arrived yet, okay? And I waited until they got narky. Right.
Can I just add a bit of crucial information?
Yes.
When you received the contract, it had been signed by the sellers. So you were sitting on a signed contract, they were waiting on your signature.
Exactly.
They had already committed to it.
So I had the property off the market. Unlike New South Wales, I can't be gazumped.
That's right.
So I knew I had time within reason. So within 3 weeks, right, I had all my due diligence done, I had the finance done, and everything was fine. I sent them back, and that was perfect. I really haven't done anything to that property at the moment except increase the rent. So I asked the agent, when was the last rent review? She said, about 10 years ago. I said, okay. First thought was, they have to be reviewed. Second thought was, what kind of crappy agents are these?
That's right.
Anyway, they were the only agents in the area, so I thought, I'll stick with them for now, and I'll test them out. Anyway, there were 2 units vacant at one stage, and she rang me up, and she said to me, I've got 2 barmaids from the local pub who want to rent the units. What do you think? And I said, listen, that's up to you. That's what I pay you for. You tell me if they're okay. She said, okay. She put them in, and then she rings up about a month later. She says, we've got problems with the 2 barmaids. I said, what? I said, they're having late night parties, they're bringing customers home and whatever, you know. Oh, okay. And the other 3 were elderly people.
We did talk about culture before, didn't we?
We did. So I said, no, this isn't going to do. And she said to me, do you mind if I get a little bit nasty? I said, you can be as big a bitch as Dipner if you want. No, I didn't.
You did not say that.
Was I far off though? No.
Maybe you should ask my husband, I'm not sure.
Anyway, she said fine.
Okay.
Right. She said she went in there and she just tore strips off them, did whatever she had. They are now my 2 best tenants. They've
Still
signed-
there. Very
Still
good.
there, long leases, and they are wonderful. So, yes. So
So you've still got the upside of being able to strata title. It's positive cash flow.
positive cash flow. I found out recently that there were 6 units, but one of them burnt down, which I didn't actually realise.
So you probably still had one.
Because they're in 2 different lots, so so I can put another one on there and strata title them, not to sell, but just to give an uplift.
Yeah, if you need the money.
To pull
Yep.
money out.
Yep.
So I love these. These are my pension.
Very good.
Okay.
Where'd you go now?
Okay.
Another flood.
This is another flood. This was again with the same
You must
agent.
pray for rain. You go out there and do happy dances in the
Oh,
rain?
I did. We had a big storm the other week. I was so wishing that my roof would blow off. I'm halfway through a renovation, so it would have all been insurance paid. It would be lovely, but they didn't. This one I went through the same agent, but she was my buyer's agent.
Right.
So this one never even hit the market. So it was another flood house. This is the one on top of the hill. Just a basic renovation. I always like, when you said, 2 plus 1, right? I always like to add bathrooms, not bedrooms. Okay.
But works too. Yep.
Works too. So with all of mine, except those units, I've added a bathroom, and that's really increased. So this one, as I said, 100,000. Actually, it's just now been revalued at 240, so it's gone up a little bit more.
Great. And positive cash flow.
Positive cash flow.
And with this one, you had a conversation with the real estate agent in terms of feeling bad about possibly taking advantage of...
That was the first one.
Yeah. So do you want to just explain?
Yep.
So, again, you might be sitting there going, aren't I taking advantage of these people that are termite or fire, impacted?
Well, the first one was the flood auction, and I won it. I got for half price, basically, or little less than half price. And after I won the auction, I actually went to the agent and said, I feel bad. She says, why? I said, I feel like I've diddled someone, And she looked at me and she said, listen, the insurance payout was twice the value of the house. This is cream on top for them. And I said to her, damn it, I should have bid less. So, look, when I do a deal, I don't screw down to the very last dollar. I always like to make it a win-win situation, as long as there's a profit in it for me.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, because I'm a big believer in karma, and she's a bigger bee than you. Okay, and I like to be on her good side.
Okay.
Okay.
So this one?
This one I just purchased in August. Yeah, in August. This is right dab smack in the middle of Bundaberg, in the medical precinct. So you can imagine what I'm going to do with this. Yes. It's renovating. It's 3-bedroom. It's got on the side there, on the left-hand side, it's a very long sunroom, which really is useless. So I'm turning it into eventually it'll be 3-bedroom, 3 en-suites.
Okay.
And I'm thinking of either Airbnb or doctors and nurses accommodation.
Yeah, for the hospital.
Okay. And another little story about this one is, sometimes when you go through, sometimes you don't have that much confidence in yourself and you think, oh, look.
I do need to get into that head of yours, don't I?
I haven't finished. I thought this was my moment.
Okay, go on then.
But anyway, sometimes you don't think that you're the smartest, the smartest whatever. But then this house, it was, I didn't leave any photos of when it was sold. It was displayed like a pigsty, right? Mess everywhere.
They're the best.
Right, okay. But do you know who owned it? The head valuer of Heron Todd White. Now, you would think she would know how to...
Present a house properly for
Exactly.
sale, yeah.
Plus, she sold it for less than what she bought it for.
Oh.
All right. The median price in that area of Bundaberg is about $252 for a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom. I got it for $175. So I think, first I thought maybe there's Aboriginal burial ground underneath or something, but no, everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Good?
So,
good.
so good.
Okay.
So,
a few of the learnings along the way?
yes, yeah. Have more confidence in yourself. Don't think you're as silly as you may sometimes think you are. Right?
By this stage, you're in the Winnebago.
By this stage, yes, I'm totally in the Winnebago and loving it, just follow the people who know, go in their footsteps, follow the people who know more than you do. And as Dipna said earlier, find a cookie cutter way of doing things
That suits you.
And obviously mine is following disasters. So, so when I hear on the TV there's been a cyclone, I rub my hands. Oh,
Off
yes.
you go.
Off we go.
That's why you got the Winnebago. So you're...
So, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yep.
Have a good team of people around you, ones that you can trust.
Yeah.
A good team of tradies especially. Treat them very well, and you'll find that they will drop everything to help you. But basically it's not rocket science. It's scary for the simple reason we're talking big figures in some cases. I mean, compared to the three we've seen today, these are very small figures. Right, but they're still big figures because I'm on a single income. I'm way below the average income, right? Because sometimes I see other people and I think, wow, they've done so much, and they have, and I'm not taking anything away from them. But then I look at how much I actually make to how much I've done, and I do give myself a pat on the back and think I'm not actually that,
As you should,
Yep,
you should,
yep.
and that's why you're here.
Thank you.
So this is the final wrap-up,
Yep.
the befores and afters.
Yep.
And the cash flow, I think, is the big one, and you've been able to keep the commercial properties, which you were looking like losing.
I was going to sell them. The only problem with those is it's a bit like the apartment market in Melbourne. They have gone down, as you can see by the values. The values have dropped on them. They are tenanted. They had a corporate tenant for about 15 years, which was great. I think they were about $27,000 a year positive cash flow. Now they're probably slightly negative because I've had to drop the rent to
Get a tenant.
But I am looking at the moment, hopefully, of maybe converting them to residential, as in studio apartments. They're on St Kilda Road. They're in prime position. So I'm just I've still got 2-year lease on them. So, but I'm still.
Make sure you can do it with the council zonings.
Yep.
And any final advice?
Look, do what you love. Do what you love, and you never work a day in your life. Right? You haven't worked a day in 10 years. No. But it's true though, because if you're doing something that you hate, well, I'll give you another story. I have a good friend of mine in Bundaberg. He's also a student. He couldn't be down here because he's working at the mines part-time as well. Now, he likes to do everything himself. Yep. Right? And he can do most things. Right? Me, you give me a hammer, I'll have to go on YouTube to see what I do with it. I have no idea. Right? Now, the first renovation that we did was a joint venture with him where I bought the house, he paid for the renovations, and he did most of the work. I did some of the work, but he did most of the work. And then we reversed it for when we purchased his next house, which I didn't put up there. Then the house, the one that was on top of the hill, I said to him, no, I said, you're not touching this. I'm just getting tradies in to do the whole lot. Okay? It came in quicker. It came in cheaper, and the quality was much better. Not taking anything away from my mate. He did a great job. But, I'm not a builder. I don't pretend to be a builder. The most I did was take their lunch orders. And at one stage... and pay them on time. And pay them. At one stage, one of them walked up to me and said, if you go home, we'll get a lot more done. I said, okay. Or I left. So you've just got to, you've got to know what your role is. I'm very good at finding the properties and finding the deals, and that's my knack, and that's what and I get the people who know what they're doing.
Happy
and
with
if I need advice, I come to people, lovely people like you. So, yes.
Well, good on you, Michael. Thank you for sharing.
No worries,
Give a big round of applause. Thanks for paying me out.
Thank you.
Good on you, Del.